because half of it's true.
Well, here it is, a brand new TV show made by Borough fans, for Borough fans, all about the Borough. It is Up the Borough Television, and give us a chance. I'm full of man flu, and I've not done this particular job for a long time. Sitting alongside me, the trusted twosome, Robert Nichols from Fly Me to the Moon, the editor. Robert, thank you. Marc Yafano, you basically run, operate, coach, and do everything surrounding Teesside Rangers. Welcome to the programme, but you're a big Borough fan, aren't you?
Big Borough fan.
Absolutely, I can see the Transporter Bridge on your badge. The show, it's all about you. We've got your voice rants, your fan rants, you're sending us your video, your tweets, your texts, absolutely everything. The emails are flying in. Keep them coming, because we'll read them out on this show. But let's get into the thick of it. Ipswich, 0-0. Devastating for those fans who are dreaming of Premier League. Robert, we'll start with you. Your thoughts coming out of the Riverside?
Well, obviously, in some ways it all started on the Tuesday when we were 1-0 up against Burnley and headed into injury time and really dreaming that we'd almost clinched promotion. And for them to peg us back at the last minute, you've then got to change your mindset and think, well, maybe we would have settled for a draw going into it at Burnley. But your hopes are that you can come through it and win well against Ipswich and make the most of home advantage. So it was very disappointing, really frustrating. That we passed up that opportunity, and now we've got to go and win at Birmingham, I think.
The hard way. Marc, you're a coach. You know, you do a lot of football, both inside and outside, supporting the Borough, coaching your teams. People talk about season-defining moments. Could that 91st minute goal at Turf Moor change Borough's season for the worst? We don't want it to, but can things like that do it?
I couldn't have put it better myself, what Robert said there. For me, it's a total change of mindset. You know, for him to score late on, bear in mind the Borough have done it a couple of games before that, scoring late on, late winners. It took us into the Ipswich game with a different mindset, really. And I thought, overall, the Borough were the better side at Ipswich, against Ipswich. For me, it just the goal just wasn't going to come, you know. And it's for a number of reasons, to be honest. But like Robert said, you know, the Burnley getting scoring late, we were all dreaming 1-0 up that it was all over.
Yeah, it was 5 points clear. Yeah, that's it. Now
it was done and dusted, you know, and then go to Birmingham, and then it just didn't happen.
Well, let's have a listen to see what the Borough fans thought. Here's your fan rants immediately after that Ipswich game.
Well, it was very frustrating. I thought we should have won. There's so many chances to win, but typical Borough, you know, don't do anything by half.
I'm very disappointed, obviously, with the result and things, but thought Insui's done very well. He was man of the match for me. Onwards and upwards, really.
I thought we played really well. Didn't take our chances, but we are creating chances.
I felt the substitutions were the wrong ones to make, changing the shape of the game to completely change the pace. The dome was shattered. But onwards and upwards, 2 wins and it's ours.
I was a little bit disappointed with the Stuani substitution. I didn't think that was necessary whatsoever. We lost our shape. Adomo went to the left. Insui is completely lost on the right hand side on his own. And Nugent should have come on 20 minutes before he did.
So did that substitution, taking off Downing, bringing on Stuani, make a real difference, as you, the fans, have been telling us? Robert, what's your thoughts on that? Can a change like that stifle your attack?
Well, he was about to take a corner. I don't think I can ever recall that before, where the player's going to take a corner is actually taken off. It certainly it changed the momentum and it took away the pace. It also meant that we suddenly had 2 right-sided players on the left, so it affected the balance of the side. But you've got to set that against the fact that Aitor arguably has made some inspired substitutions in the last few games and brought people on at the right time. You go right back to Nugent scoring against Hull City, and it's happened many times. Forshaw coming on, we should say, again at the end against Reading. So you win some, you lose some. Stuani is still the top scorer. He doesn't look like it now, but I guess if he had come back hungry and scored that goal, it would have been, well, it would have been phenomenal.
Yeah, just having a look at some of the tweets and some of the posts that have come in. After the Ipswich game, Andy, disappointing result for Borough today. Everyone should stop panicking though. We'll be fine. So a little bit of optimism at the end. Neil Granger was tweeting, gutting not to get the 3 points. Those players couldn't have given any more. It's simple though, win 2 games and we're up. Come on, Borough. Connor Quirk, loads of negativity today. Personally, I think the link-up play and ambition was great. So there's a lot of positivity in there. There are a couple of tweets we've received surrounding the substitution though. So people are pointing the finger at Stuani coming on and Downing coming off. Were you surprised at that?
I was very surprised, to be fair, because over the last couple of weeks, you know, Downing's had his critics. To be fair, I thought against Ipswich, he was one of our better players. You know, he was in the game, he was creative, you know, he was attacking. And like Robert said, he was just about to take the corner. So I think it was a bigger surprise to him than probably the most of the Borough fans. And then when Stuani did come on, he just looked a little bit flat. He looked as if, you know, as if he couldn't get into the game. And I also think there was other players on that pitch who were sort of out on their feet and really tired, which could have been a different substitution. But like you say, like Robert says, you know, he has made some inspired substitutions. So, you know, to get the odd one wrong, or in our opinion, what the odd one wrong, I think we'll let him off with that.
Just to finish these tweets, Catherine husband, I love Karanka, but I think he got it wrong today. Should have been Nugent coming on instead of Stuani, in my opinion. Peter Singh, lost our shape, all the momentum when Downing went off. And Hazel Clay basically saying putting Albert Adoma on the left doesn't work. Stuani isn't versatile enough, so a little bit of criticism coming in. But true to the end, Borough fans are good for one thing, and that's sarcasm.
Right.
And I can't let the tweets go without reading these out. Sophie Barley. So Borough Brighton isn't going to be a big game then after all. Just the normal standard run-of-the-mill Premier League decider, like that one. And Jennifer Hayden, my heart is on the line, every second played, but it's a love I can't live without. Nice one to finish the tweets on. Get your tweets in. Remember what we are. We are, I've got to get this right because I'm not a social media animal. We are at UTBTV 86. UpTheBoroTV 86. At UTBTV 86. Get them in, we'll read them out. Okay, moving on from that, it was interesting before the game. Aitor came out and said, now's the wrong time of the season to rotate my squad. I'm going to play my strongest squad every game for the 3 that were remaining ahead of him. The fans will obviously be breathing a sigh of relief for that, Marc. What do you think about this rotation?
Well, it's had its divided opinion over the season, I suppose. But, you know, love it or hate it.
Come on, you're a coach. Do you feel the need you've got to rest players?
No, I don't think there's a player who plays professional football, right down to junior football, who would say, Coach, Gaffer, I'm tired today. I don't want to go on there. You know, so I don't believe that players would want to be rested. I can see the logic in it. I can see the sort of influence he has, the influence he has by making the changes. But I don't think that comes from players. I think that comes from the fact that we do have a big squad. I think we do have big names on the bench, which, you know, 90% of other championship sides would want that bench. And I think that's where the changes and I think sometimes forced changes are made.
2 words, level-headed, don't sit well with me when it comes to watching Borough games. Look, I'm the guy who wants Nugent up front with Rhodes in a 4-4-2 formation, but I'm never going to get that because that's what Aitor doesn't want. So, Robert, bring some common sense into this conversation. Give us your view on rotation and probably the benefits of it.
Well, do we have 8 games in April?
Oh, far too sensible.
Yeah. Well, we've obviously still got 1 left, but we saw the benefits. We've got 3 great midfielders, haven't we? From Clayton, Ledbetter, and Forshaw, and we've got the best benefits by, if you want to say, rotating it. We saw a game where Ledbetter's starting to flag, so he takes him out, puts Forshaw in. Forshaw brings extra energy into the next game. So I think it makes common sense. Gaston Ramirez has been troubled by. He's had cramp in a couple of games. He's had to go off. He's not made the end of many games. So therefore, you can see why he's taken him out of the game. It's a sort of fitness issue, really.
You should be a diplomat.
Okay.
Fantastically put. That's the sensible chap. That's why we have him in the studio. Somebody else who's sensible, I say that with tongue in cheek, former Borough player. I thought it was high time we caught up on the first show with somebody who made his mark at the Riverside, made his mark well and truly because he scored the opening goal. The cameras for UpTheBoroTV tripped across to the Vic yesterday. We had a word with Craig Hignett. Yes, he the man who scored that very first goal at the Riverside. And he's a bit of fun as well. He always has a keen sense of humour. I asked him the question, though, with his Hartlepool kit on, to leave that to one side and tell us about what he thinks of the Borough and his time spent with us.
There's some of the best memories I've got in football, playing for Borough, you know, signing for Lenny Lawrence in 1992 and playing at Ayresome Park in what was the first year of the Premier League. It was a dream come true for me, you know, to come from, I'd been at Liverpool as a kid, but then I went to Crewe, worked my way up, and then to play in the Premier League was a dream come true. And then obviously what happened then with the Riverside, with cup finals, with Robbo, with the players I played with, it was just a mad, mad time, and one that I'm forever grateful of being involved with.
Now, we've got to touch on some of those moments, particularly first game at the Riverside, opening goal. You scored it. What was that like?
At the time, I was just pleased that we'd scored and we were winning 1-0. I didn't think anything of the relevance of what I'd done. And it was only half time, I've said this before, where Robbie Mustoe had turned to me and he went, "You lucky so-and-so." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, it's the first goal, isn't it? That's the first goal." And ever since then, you know, it's the one thing that people mention every time they see me, or if I get fan letters, or, you know, it's always mentioned somewhere along the way. So whilst at the time I didn't think anything of it, as time's gone on and I moved away from the club and Borough fans have been in touch, it's the one thing that everyone mentions, and now when I think about it, I'm really proud to have done it, and it's, you know, it's something that I'll never forget, and it's in the record books forever.
And every anniversary it's going to come around and bite you on the backside again.
Yeah, it did get a bit of a pain, and I went through a spell where I wish someone else had done it. But listen, I'm made up I've done it. I wouldn't change it for the world, that's for sure. It's something that I'll always be remembered for at Middlesbrough.
You mentioned the cup final. Now, I've got to put this one to bed. The Juninho goal, or the Juninho free kick we see in the video, the cup final video, is it true you took the free kick?
It was true. It was half of it's true. Junie hits the first bit, and I think they cut to one that I hit in the top corner.
Could he not do it?
He had a few goals at it. He could do it. He was brilliant, the little fella, but he couldn't do it on that day. So, fortunately enough, for him, I was there.
Okay, let's have a look at the present day. I'm sure you keep half an eye on them, though you've got your daytime job to do. 2 games to go, all level on points, the top 3. What are your thoughts on that?
It's tight. I mean, you know, Borough should be away and home dry. But listen, they're in with a shout, and they're in with as good a shout as any there. 2 from the 3 are going to go up. I think Borough have been consistently one of the best teams in the league all season, without a shadow of a doubt. I'd be so gutted if they didn't do it. You know, just for everyone connected with the club, and for the money that Steve Gibson's put into it, and the ambition that he's shown again. For them not to do it will be heartbreaking. And for the fans, you know, the fans, they're all desperate for Premier League football. The club's desperate for Premier League football because it'll be a different place. You know, going to games next year if they're a Premier League team will be fantastic. And it's something that they all deserve, because I know how hard they work behind the scenes at it. So fingers crossed they're going to get 2 positive results. I think they will. I think they'll do it. I think probably them. I mean, you could toss a coin. I mean, Brighton are on a hell of a run. Brighton are on such a fantastic run. But Burnley haven't lost a game since, was it Christmas? 20-odd games or something like that. So it's so tight, and the teams up there are all in good form. But fingers crossed Borough are going to do it.
But now you're wearing Hartlepool badge. How much you're enjoying the job?
I love it. It's everything I thought it'd be and more. I just love doing what I'm doing. It's been great for me. I mean, it couldn't have went much better, if I'm honest. You know, with the start I've made with the club, with how they're playing, with the turnaround, with everything that's happened really, and how the lads have took to it. I've got nothing but praise for all the lads who've listened to what I've said and have done it on the pitch. And it gives me a bit of belief, because I know what I'm doing is right, and I know that if I carry on doing it, they'll get better, and they will get better. So I want this club to be looking up, and I want it to be ambitious, and I want it to be as good as it can be, and I won't stop until I think that's happening.
And when you were a player, did you always have in the back of your mind you were going to move on to management, or was this something that's just happened since
Not
you
always.
stopped?
Yeah, I think as you get older, I think you change, and you change the way you think about the game, and as you go through your coaching badges, it makes you think a bit differently about the game. I was never, I mean, I loved coaching from the start. I loved coaching, but I never felt confident with coaching, because you have to be confident in what you're saying. You have to make other people believe that what you're saying is right. So that's took a while to get that belief and to get that confidence in speaking to players and putting across your message and formulating how you want to play and your philosophy in your own head has took time. But I've had a lot of help along the way. You know, I've played for some really good managers. I've worked with some good managers. I've worked with Colin Cooper here, who was a great coach, fantastic lad. Worked with Aitor, who done things differently. So I got the whole different way, the Spanish way, the Mourinho way, if you like.
And are you using some of that?
I'm using some of it, yeah. I like to think I've took all the best bits and added my own little twist on everything. Because I know it works. You know, I've been through it and I've done it and I've delivered it and I know it works. So I'm bringing that with me, and you know, with results we've had here and how we've been since I've took over it, I think, you know, the proof is in what we've done over the last 16 games or so.
So an interesting one there from Higgy, finishing off saying that he took a lot from Aitor, obviously with his time as his number 2. It wasn't a long time, but as his time as number 2, and he's managed to obviously mould that into the Hignett way, and they're reaping benefits. They certainly are reaping benefits at Hartlepool, aren't they?
Definitely.
What a start he's had to the managerial career.
Incredible, because it's difficult to think of the situation we're in when he went in there. It was like, why would you accept that job?
Yeah. But
he turned it round, and they've been safe. They seem to have been safe for weeks. Unfortunately, York have gone the other way, already been relegated, and it looked as if Hartlepool would. It looked as if the two clubs would go out of the league, didn't it? Really.
Yeah. What I liked about him was his confidence that Borough are going to stay up. You know, and he's still got it there in the heart, hasn't he? He's saying he'd be gutted if they went down. He's confident. Can we take any confidence out of the fact that Higgy's confident?
Well, I mean, he knows more than most around the club, doesn't he? You know, like you say, he was there for a while, and he was quite, you know, obvious that he's took a lot from Aitor, but he's a great coach. You know, he is a great coach, and he's got Curtis alongside him, Curtis Flem alongside him at Hartlepool. No wonder they're doing well. You know, two fantastic coaches which have coached a lot of young junior footballers around this area,
and still are,
and still
involved in the.
Yes, they are, yeah.
With Bernie and Pally, with this what they call it? I'm struggling for the name.
Reds Academy.
Reds Academy. They're still doing that. Fantastic
setup, yeah. And like I say, Higgy's got a lot of time for junior footballers. But like Robert said, the turnaround at Hartlepool, they were nearly, you know, down and out.
Yeah.
You know, and why anyone would take that job. But he must have knew, and I think he knew in his own head that he could turn it round.
Well, he'd been there with Coops, hadn't he?
Yeah.
So he knew the players, because, there'd been one or two changes under Ronnie Moore, but the basic structure of the squad was still there, so he knew what he was taking.
And they knew him, and also there was a feeling, when he left to come to Middlesbrough, Hartlepool's form dipped.
Yeah.
And whether it was right or wrong that it was due to him, there was always the feeling that get that man back, he might have been as much to do with it as Colin Cooper.
Yeah, anyway, we've got, as you might know, one or two fans. Hang on, I'll try and pull this one out. We got behind Ali Brownlee, God rest his soul, with one of our own T-shirts. And Higgy helped us launch these, along with Curtis, outside the Riverside. And you can get this one. He signed it himself. Best wishes, Craig Hignett. If you'd like to win this T-shirt, get involved with this competition. Have a look at this caption. There's a photograph on there. 4 very fit individuals, particularly the 2 on the outside. All we want for you to do is be a bit creative. The best written caption that comes in via email or Facebook or Twitter to Up the Borough Television will win this very T-shirt. So the caption, once again, have a look at it. The photograph, we want the best caption written down, please. The more creative, the funnier. And yes, you can slag me and my mate Chris off. If you have to, the better. You'll win that. So get them in online, social media, email, whatever you've got to do. Right, back to the Borough. There's been an issue this week. Ticket touts. A ticket for the Brighton game, or as an adult and a juniors ticket, going for silly amounts on eBay. Robert, can I start with you first? Because Fly Me to the Moon guys got involved with this. Tell us the story.
Yeah, they spotted it on eBay on the Fly Me to the Moon message board,
and
started bidding taking that auction up to ridiculous levels, and made it quite clear on the message board that they had no intention of going through with the purchase, and it was removed pretty soon afterwards by that person because they knew that the auction was blown. But also, I would think that's how it came to the attention of the football club and everything. And it's a despicable thing to do.
That's horrible. It is. It really is. Where do you stand on it?
Well, it is a despicable thing to do, and quite rightly, the football club have came straight out and stamped it out, really, and told them it won't be tolerated. First and foremost, it's illegal,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's terrible, isn't it? Playing on people to try and just make money out of a game that everybody wants to attend, everybody wants to be part of that last day. Yeah, not very nice at all.
And it's just happened at Leicester City as well for their final game, because everybody was expecting that to be the decider. Not going to be the case. Anybody who's trying to tout tickets for that one, up yours. But I didn't expect it to happen with the Borough. I mean, that's the sad thing for me.
Well, it happens everywhere, but if people cannot make the match, what the thing to do is, the great thing about football tickets is you get your money back. You give your ticket back to the ticket office, and there's a waiting list there. And there's a waiting list for every match. I mean, whether people are aware of that, but there's certainly a big waiting list for the Brighton game, and then you're giving it to the people that are on the top of the list, and that's the fairest way to do it. Yeah,
talking of the Brighton game and obviously the Birmingham game, getting into the football-specific side of it, George Friend's missing. Obviously, he was missing against Ipswich. He came off at Turf Moor with the hamstring injury. To me, seems a miss. I mean, it's very fluid and very natural. It feels natural to me when you see George Friend in that side, bombing up and down wide. How much of a miss has he been, Marc?
I think he's a massive miss. He must be the bargain player ever. For the Borough of Bow. He was as cheap as chips, really. But he's just got better and better. And he's a player that I look at and think, when we do get to the Premiership, he will fit in. And because he does get better and better. But yeah, certainly, if he's out for the rest of the season, he is a big miss. It's a big set of shoes to fill. I thought on Saturday, he would have steadied it a little bit. Yeah. For as much as Ipswich didn't sort of cause as many troubles, it seemed that on that right-hand side, they got a bit of joy late on in the game. Yeah. But for me, he is a big miss. Big miss.
Robert, I talked earlier about one result change your season. Can a player like that change your season? I mean, could we not be as successful without George?
Well, he is so important. He's fit enough to be able to, when he's fit.
Yeah.
when he's
not limping with a hamstring.
Absolutely. He can run the whole flank, so he can be attacking, but he can be the first man back. He's able to do that, and there's few other players. There's no one else in our club. He's got to be one of the fittest players that we've ever seen at Middlesbrough, I think, going back through generations. So how do you replace that? And obviously Delat is a very fast player.
Yeah.
But quite clearly he's not left-footed. So you have the option, of course, of Husband, who was starred as a lone player out at Fulham and Huddersfield. It doesn't look as if we're going to go that way. Delat's incredibly experienced and has stepped out of a Premier winning side to come to Middlesbrough. It's a surprise, really, that he was released. So we have got that, but it was noticeable on Saturday that you saw players reluctant to pass to the left, whereas the first pass would always go to George Friend. I suppose there is one bonus. There's one small bonus.
There is a bonus.
Yeah, there's one. Well, bonus is the wrong word, but whoever plays on the wing ahead of George Friend always has a problem in that George Friend always goes past them every time. So in the way that when Downing played for England with Ashley Cole, he always had the problem with Ashley Cole was always bombing past, and it made people think that Downing was playing negatively. And that's been the case with Adam Reach, Albert Adoma, and at times Stuart Downing, is in that the crowd thinks that they're playing negatively. Basically, they have to defend because George Friend's gone down the wing. So we might see more expansive play from Downing or Adoma on that flank.
And what smoke signals are we seeing regarding George? Because I'm hearing, oh yeah, he's well on his way to recovery and he could be featuring. But I'm also hearing as well, he's out for the rest of the season. What are we getting? What vibes are we getting?
Well, it's not a very long. If we hopefully the very worst is that he could be out for the playoffs as well, but hopefully not. And we don't know.
Hammies are strange though, aren't they? Because somebody can have a tight hammy and then the back the next week.
I thought he was fouled, didn't you? I thought he got a really bad foul and he was clutching his ankle, and then to find out it was a hamstring. I hope he's be brilliant if he could come back and play some part on Friday, but people are talking about him being out for these 2 games.
Yeah, for the rest of the season, all 1 week of it. Right, time for a break. Musical interlude time now. Great story. Robert, thank you for pointing it out to me. It was this man from Fly Me to the Moon who did the business tipping us off. There's a lady by the name of Rosie Bailey. She got together with Gordon Gray, a musician. She was Rosie. Well, she'll take up the story. She was challenged to produce a bit of an orchestral piece, an anthem about a northeast town, but she's a good borough lass, and she chose Middlesbrough.
About 3 years ago I was challenged to write a musical drama, but the drama had to be based about a town in the northeast. And coming from Middlesbrough, born and bred myself, a real borough lass, I thought, well, it has to be about Middlesbrough. And once I spent some time deciding on the storyline, I then knew I needed to produce a song or come up with a song that was going to be representative of the birth of the town, its troubled times in between since then, and about the hope and vision for its future. So I wanted it to be a fairly big sounding, impacting piece of work. And then I asked Gordon Gray, a terrific musician who's local, if he'd collaborate with me on this. And what was in my head and what I gave to him to say, well, there you are, this is what I'm thinking of. He just turned the whole thing on its head, gave it a completely different dynamic, and said you can't do it about Middlesbrough Town without including the football club.
The working title that she had was Eramis. So when I took that and I had a few ideas and I was really quite enjoying it, you know, and I come up with the Middlesbrough Way, as in the way that Middlesbrough folk are, you know, the way they conduct themselves. And I thought, yeah, that's a really good hook, so we'll go with that. And sort of about, we toed and froed, Rose and I toed and froed with the words, and we come up with appropriate words, I think, that's fitting.
If my hopes actually came true and they were realised, it would be that the football club, Middlesbrough Football Club, would adopt it as its anthem. And I would like to hear some of the clips that are in there that were purposely put in there, called from one end to the other as some of the chanting. So that would be good to hear.
North stands, south stands.
Exactly.
Rosie wants the fans to adopt this and chant from one end to the other. Where are you standing on that?
I could see that, but it's whether they do or not, because I'm seeing when I normally go to the east side and I watch the west, the north and the south, shouting at each other, and I'm thinking, Eramis, we shall be, and having a sort of a call going backwards and forwards. I think that would be really good, because that's the town's motto.
Gordon Gray, Rosie Bailey, The Middlesbrough Way. Cracking piece of music. Not my cup of tea. I mean, I'm more Simply Red and David Gray and stuff like that. But there you go, fantastic. And great people as well. Had a great time chatting with them. Robert, you tipped me off about that.
Yeah.
The big hope for the pair of them is that the fans can adopt it and you'll have, you know, North Stand singing Eramis and South Stand responding. Is it the sort of anthem a football fan can adopt, or is it more a town anthem, do you think?
I hope it can be adopted by both. I don't start the chants at football matches, but
you don't.
I do not.
And my son Luke, he's desperate to start a Borough chant, so we'll have to do that in the next couple of games.
Ask him to do it.
Yeah. Sorry, I interrupted.
Somebody has to start it, as we say. But Erimus is we're a town of scholars here. We all know our Latin, so that should stand us in good stead. Yeah.
What do you reckon, Marc?
I can't see the Red Faction singing that, but I'd love the club to adopt that. You know, for the club to use it in some way.
I think they might be playing it. They're talking about playing it in the Brighton game. So we'll keep our fingers crossed, because a lot of work's
whether it becomes a chant from the stands is another thing, but I'd love the club to do something with it.
Oh, it'd be fantastic. And the council, Dave Budd, Mayor of Middlesbrough, if you're listening, let's get it adopted from the council's perspective as well. Can I say that to a mayor? I don't know whether I can or not. Apologies if I'm not supposed to. Back to the football, chaps, before we finish. There's not the small matter of a trip to St Andrews coming up. I've been there many times and come away with tears in my eyes many times. It's not one of the best venues for us. Marc, hoodoo at St Andrews, or possibly it's on a Friday, a Freaky Friday. I mean, Aitor quite recently has enjoyed success on a Friday. He's quite enjoyed sticking a dagger through the heart of Dracula's curse at these grounds that we can never win at. What do you fancy?
I think the Borough are quite capable of going there and winning. And we were talking, just off air before, that the Borough on a Friday have done really well. Aitor behind the cameras, the Borough on the TV, on a Friday. We've got a really good record at the moment, and we've been to some grounds where we don't normally get really good results, and we've turned them over. So I think the Borough can go there and turn them over.
It's really spooky, Robert, because we never used to perform well on a telly game.
We didn't,
we didn't like these grounds like Wednesday and Forest and places and St Andrews. Yeah. But he seems to have torn that old hymn sheet up, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's like there is no reason why you have those sort of traditions.
Like we didn't used to enjoy going to London.
No. No, we'll forget about the London.
Yeah, we're not going there again this season.
But I think we haven't got anything to fear there. Like you, I've seen a lot of defeats there. I've seen probably as many draws. I'd like to think we can go there and win even by the odd goal. And then we've got the long wait, haven't we? To a long weekend to the Monday to find out what's happened. But it's much better for us to win that game than sit back and let the others have the pressure.
Now, I think it's the Gazette's been trying to map out, if this result happens, this is what it means. If that result happens, this is what it means. What the Gazette have done is they've put a poll online of the fans asking the question, well, I've got it here, which, with 2 games left, do you think the Borough will be promoted automatically? 66% yes, 34% no. That hope is still there.
Yeah, brilliant. I think to have the chance, if we can go into that last match and we can win to go up, then we might say that we were hoping we could coast it, but at the start of the season, surely we would have taken the chance to have a home match to get promoted.
Marc, the Echo followed up with their prediction. So actually head on the block time, or neck on the block time. The Echo's gone through all the permutations and what they think the results are going to be. As you can see on the screen, it's basically saying Burnley are going to win the league with 93 points from 38 games. And they predict Borough to be second, 2 points behind, but just 1 goal difference ahead of Brighton. That's their prediction. Do you subscribe to it?
Well, I'm part of that 66%. I think the Borough will go up automatically. That's it. What I think. I don't go along with the Echo. I think there's another twist and turn this weekend coming. I think if a Borough fan as biased as I am, I think it's not a bad running. Birmingham away, Brighton at home, and like Robert said, if you would take beating Brighton last game of the season to go up, you'd take that all day long. You'd take that from day one. Whether we can win the league,
But I've become greedy now because we've been so close to running. We've been so close to opening a 9-point gap and all this sort of stuff. I'd really like to win the league. Am I just being ridiculous now?
No, I mean, we'd all love to go into that game where it was a case of Brighton and Burke can play out a draw and we can win. Brighton comes second and Sean Dyche and Joe Barton are consigned to another
Mr. Barton doesn't go into the Premiership.
The ginger one. I thought that was the best chant at Turf Moor, by the way. Can't repeat it on UpTheBoroTV, but I really did think that was the best chant of the night. Well, I suppose positivity coming from the chairs. Pretty pleased with that. Positivity coming from you guys as well. Here's another round of the fans' rants.
I think they'll still go, but Birmingham's going to be no pushover because we've got a point at the Riverside, so I still think I'll go.
We're still in the same position as we were today. Win our next 2 games and we're up. Up the Borough! Come on!
We are creating chances, so therefore we should be scoring against Birmingham and we should be scoring against Brighton last game of the season. Nobody's from this point of view. Up the Borough, come on.
So the key word for me is positivity. It's good to see it flying around, positivity amongst you guys and here in the studio as well. Almost time for us to wrap up. Just a quick reminder. The caption here, have a look at the photograph. We can win, or you can win, Brownlee, one of our own T-shirts, signed by Craig Hignett, as worn in this very photograph. All we want from you is your suggestion for a caption. The wittier, the better. We've got to be careful what we broadcast these days, but obviously those guys on the outside looking very fit indeed. And just to let you know the details, all the money that we've been raising from the sale of these T-shirts, the proceeds going to go to Children in Need, which was a charity very close to Ali's heart. Bless him. Gents, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
This time next week, we'll be one step closer to knowing what's going to happen. It really is painful at times, but let's live in hope. And thanks for participating, Robert and Marc, in the first ever UpTheBoroTV. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Only one thing to say really to finish off, isn't it? And that's Up the Borough, come on.
It was true. It was half of it's true.